the DevSec Blueprint with Damien Burks. All right, let's click on this button right here. And hey, it's two whole Damiens. What is happening?
Yes. This is our second time with the full Damien, and you were not present the first time, Chris.
That's right. I was traveling and I couldn't get the full two Damien experience. So I totally missed out. So I had to come back for this.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Everyone loves two Damiens and a Chris. So yeah.
Start calling it my two Damiens. It'll be a TV show.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome, folks. Welcome back to the show. Damien Burks, how are you doing, sir?
I am doing well. How are you guys doing?
It's so the last time that we talked was at reInvent, and you had just started. You either had just published the DevSec Blueprint, or you were actively working on it. And I was like, oh, this has got to be on the show. And you're like, I'm in.
Yeah. So I think I had published it maybe a week or two before, and then literally straight to reInvent, spoke at reInvent, and now we're here. So
did your talk at reInvent, was that on the DevSec Blueprint, or was your talk at reInvent something else?
It was on the DevSec Blueprint, but on a different I would say path, exploring AI rather than actually the core heart of what the DevSec Blueprint is and what it means. So
gotcha. It
was a different project, but a part of it.
Nice. Oh yeah.
Are you referring to his previous vBrownBag episode?
No. His talk at reInvent. So
okay.
He was Damien Burks and I met up at reInvent, and so he was talking about the DevSec Blueprint, and that's right in our wheelhouse. It's educational content. It's how to level up your career. It's how to get good at the things. And I was like, well, this is yet another perfect episode for vBrownBag. So here we are, everybody. Mr. Carlson, how are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent, thank you. Everyone in the audience should feel very jealous because I showed the newest family member in my household to the guys here before the show, and it was wonderful.
Did he run away? Is he still there, or is he not?
No, he's sleeping on his bed.
Oh. he seemed very sedate. I was like, oh, he's a sleepy boy.
Yeah, it's because my wife is out of the house, so he's like, fine, I'll sleep in Dad's office. Yeah, it's Shala joining.
Oh, there we go. Hold, please. And add to stage. There we go.
Ta-da.
Look at you with your brand new background.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that is called, I have a boring backdrop now since I changed everything. It's just a blank wall.
Oh, you haven't populated it with all of your toys and gifted lane road signs and whatnot?
Not yet, because I need to get floating shelves and get the husband to put them up.
Gotcha. I love that you've changed your name to Cloud Edutainer and Advocate. Is that in preparation for the Gen AI bootcamp this Saturday?
Yeah, but I've been keeping it for a while now. I decided that's what I am.
Yeah, accurate. Totally accurate. Awesome. Mr. Burks, have you met Shala? Have y'all met or no?
I don't think we've met.
You both have been to reInvent, but I don't know if your paths have crossed.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, no. So it's a pleasure to meet you.
I have this fatal flaw where I just assume that everybody I know knows everybody else that I know, and so I'm like, oh, of course they know each other. They're both tech community. How do they not know each other? So here we go. Yay! The gang is all here. All of the co-hosts. This is the first time since 2025 that we've all been here. I'm very happy about this.
Wow.
Mr. Burks, let's get into it. Let's talk about this because we have a short amount of time and a giant amount of information. So let's swap this over to Shah and swap this over to Shah.
All right.
Here we go. Yeah,
sweet. Cool. Sweet. So I'm just going to start by saying welcome to the DevSec Blueprint, everyone. So we finally arrived. But before I even get into what it means and what it is, I just kind of want to talk about just the history about the DevSec Blueprint, why it was created in the first place. So as somebody who's been in the cybersecurity field for quite some time, my background has been quite traditional as far as graduating a degree in computer science and then getting a software engineering job. But, I got a software engineering job for a security team. So I was building out security tools, and then somehow, some way, found my way into DevSecOps by going through that. And it required a lot of different upskilling and reading a lot of documentation and going out to various different sources to get this information. But the biggest issue was there was like no path to getting this. Like there wasn't a certain repository or a path to where it explained what it is that you actually need to know to be a DevSecOps engineer, and what it is that you actually need in order to grow in your career as a DevSecOps professional or even transition into it. So I came up with this idea where I was just like, you know what? I was inspired by Learn the Cloud and some of the other open source projects that they had out there. So I decided to go ahead and just create my own, which is the DevSec Blueprint. And this is what we're here. So the DevSec Blueprint is essentially a comprehensive, free, and open source learning guide that is designed to equip people with the essential skills, right, and knowledge that they need in order to A, transition into DevSecOps, and B, become a DevSecOps engineer and grow your career. So the key thing about this plan, or this blueprint rather, or guide, is that you get to learn a lot of different skills, a lot of different skill sets. Number one, you understand you learn the foundational knowledge behind DevSecOps, which is like the core principles. You understand the principles of cybersecurity. You understand what the secure software development lifecycle is, or the SDLC, and the differences. And you also get to really understand like the importance of soft skills, because as a DevSecOps professional in the cloud, 50% of my job, as I tell people, is literally knowing how to talk to people. Core DevSecOps skills, you learn about those. You want to know the technical stuff. You learn about how to do things technically, build those pipelines. You learn how to build those security controls and frameworks and stuff like that. And then there's also the hands-on experience, which is basically like, okay, we have this outlined in theory. Now we're actually going to show you how you can implement it by creating guides of projects with all of the necessary information you need to go and build it out and test it out on your end, right? To learn those skills. So the key thing about it is that, if you want to get started with the DevSec Blueprint, I always made sure that I put this note right here. And the reason why is because this guide, or this blueprint, goes through a lot of different things, and it's resource rich in a way where it's going to take you from here to Learn the Cloud, or to a YouTube video that's going to be like 2 to 3 hours, or so on and so forth. But it's a pathway for you to go ahead and navigate. So I always say you don't have to finish this all in one go if you go through it. I'm an advocate and proponent of learning at your own pace and do what is best for you. And the reason why is because it's a comprehensive program and a plan or a guide. And it's going to take time. You're not going to learn it overnight. You're not going to learn Linux and all these different things overnight. Just not going to do it. And of course, we have people who have already started to contribute to the UI, contribute to the various different projects to help support it. So I always want to make sure, like, I just highlight people, just say like, thank y'all for all the contributors who have supported the DevSec Blueprint so far. And we just released our Discord community like 2 weeks ago. So
nice.
If you're interested in that, I can drop that link in the chat and you can join our Discord community. And it's essentially a way for everyone who wants to become a cloud security engineer, a DevSecOps professional, to just network, navigate, and just be one with the community and learn from one another and grow from one another. So that's essentially the DevSec Blueprint holistically. Mm-hmm. Now, what I'm going to do is just kind of go through and show you the prerequisites for someone who would be interested. So let's say either one of you on this call or anybody who's listening is interested in becoming a DevSecOps professional or an engineer. So these are the list of prerequisite concepts that you got to know in order for you to be able to do it. So the idea is that, before you actually learn what DevSecOps is, you have to build a solid foundation of all of the various different concepts that kind of help prepare you technically for that. And all of these concepts are just kind of thrown together in this big table. So I'll always say, learning version control systems in Git, you definitely got to understand what that is, because a lot of the pipelines that you'll be working with will have code that's going to be checked into a version control system. This entire website is built and managed and checked into GitHub. And then from GitHub, you have GitHub Actions, and it builds and, is deployed with DocuSarter. So this project alone is in Git, checked into GitHub. And the resources that I have here are listed out with the DevOps guide.
Can you? I'm sorry. Can you bump up the font just a little bit so that folks at home can? There we go.
Oh, okay. No worries. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
And for those who might be listening to audio only, this is at DevSecBlueprint.com.
Yeah, and the thing is, once you learn version control systems, Git, and you learn like GitLab, GitHub, Bitbucket, whichever one that fits your fancy, of course, then you really start to understand how those things work. The next key thing is Linux and Bash scripting. A lot of servers that I know of that I play around with, and heck, even in my own home lab, run off of Linux. So learning Linux is key. Learning how to script in Bash is key. And it's very common amongst like, for deployment purposes, like if you try to deploy an application onto a server, a lot of them are going to be running Linux in some shape, form, or fashion. And I think the best place to learn Linux is going to Learn the Cloud. And Learn the Cloud is basically an open source guide that helps people get into the cloud, but their particular phase, which is phase 1, is basically like a Linux CTF, where it's pretty much a gamified way for you to learn how to actually learn Linux or use Linux effectively. Once you learn that, then there's programming concepts. Having a basic understanding of programming is definitely necessary, because 9 times out of 10, as a DevSecOps engineer, you're probably going to be coding, and you're probably going to be extending the functionality of pipelines or building controls, and it's going to be custom. And learning those programming concepts like object-oriented programming and looping and recursion could help you in a lot of different ways. And these are all the resources that I have put together myself, that I put on the side that you guys can reference. Learn the Cloud phase 2. There's a YouTube video for introducing programming computer science. I'm biased, so if I had to choose a language that you should learn first, it would be Python. And
yes. Really? Oh, interesting.
Okay. I used to be a Java developer at first, and I'm just like, I don't recommend people who want to be programmers outright to start with Java, unless you want to drink like 3 cups of coffee a day. But that's just me. So Python is definitely like the first language of choice, and it's the easiest one that I recommend, the easiest one to learn in my personal opinion. So learn Python.
Yeah, a lot of the C-based languages are very similar. So there's a lot of portability of skills if you start with Python. Java is like the English language of programming. It's just a bunch of other crap thrown in there. Like,
oh my God. Oh my goodness. Just to get Java to print hello world is a minimum of like 10 to 15 lines. It's like you gonna be working Python. It should maybe be just 1 line, honestly. So,
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the good old days, I tell you. But yeah, definitely learn Python, y'all. Networking. So networking is something that is not necessarily, I don't think is as visible as people think it is, or as important, but it is. So understanding, like IPs, DNS, firewalls, and all that stuff like that will help you as an engineer, only because there could be a potential issue that you may face as a DevSecOps professional that will require you to know how to manipulate firewalls in Linux, or even under debug like ports, common ports, like, it's supposed to be HTTPS, but we're trying to send stuff over port 80, which is like unencrypted and stuff like that. So you definitely want to understand like how that works and what network security looks like, because there could be a case where you end up having to deal with that. Basic security concepts, definitely a given. As a DevSecOps professional, you're most likely going to end up having to understand how security, how attackers get into your network, and you want to understand common attack patterns, vectors, and also common security threats. That way you understand how to best defend your applications, and you can even make recommendations to developers on secure coding practices while doing so. So it's super important. If I had to recommend a certification that you should get to kind of cover these, CompTIA or CompTIA Security Plus certification exam. Number one, entry-level certification for understanding cybersecurity, and it's highly reputable. So definitely looking at getting that.
Didn't you take that exam?
I did. And
yeah.
I think I might show my age with this one, but I took the exam. I took the 401 and we're at 701. So I took the exam like 6 years or 7 years ago.
That's not showing your age at all.
Oh, bless. I was going to say the last CompTIA test I took was in the 90s. So I don't want to hear it.
Well,
yeah,
I don't know. I'm the oldest in my family, so it's just like I when I say that, they're just like, "Oh, you old." I'm just like, oh. So yeah.
There's always older. There's always older, Damien.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's true.
Believe it or not, Chris and I are in our 30s. So yeah.
I got to go change my dentures, so I'm gonna get my walker. I'll be right back.
Oh man. When it comes down to DevOps, I mean, DevSecOps is DevOps is the foundation of DevSecOps. It's basically the securing of the entire DevOps model and the life cycle. And it's also the shifting left of everything so that we bring all of the security things to the forefront of the developer so that we ensure that security is baked into every life cycle or stage of the SDLC and also the DevOps model. So before you even get into DevSecOps, you got to understand what DevOps is to begin with. And there are some resources there. CI/CD is a part of DevOps, but I separated it out simply because understanding both of them and how they work together is super important. And then last but not least, if you want to go into the cloud, which everybody should, you definitely want to understand cloud computing. And Learn the Cloud is the best place for that. Everything that I've recommended on this website and everything that I include on this website, all tooling and all of that is free and open source. I try to move away from stray away from paid versions of things. That way it gives people the opportunity to effectively learn without having to worry about spending money. So, and
just to be clear, these are the prereqs. This is what you have to know to even start to think about DevSecOps.
Yeah, yeah, that's correct. That's correct. And honestly, all of these prereqs are things that I've had to learn over the course of my undergrad career as well as like in my career. And I've compiled all of this together and even asked a couple of people who are in the field to verify this, and they were just like, sure, this is right. So
it's definitely on the money. But it goes to a question from the audience that they asked at the very beginning of this. And I was like, well, it depends. So I'm going to ask you the question. Now that you've finished the prereqs, the question from the audience was, how long would it take to go through the DevSec Blueprint? And I'm going to ask you two different questions. The first question is, if you don't have the prereqs, how long would it take? And the next question is, if you do have the prereqs, how long would it take?
So if you don't have the prereqs, I would say
millennia.
Yeah, I wouldn't say a millennia, but if you are starting from zero to hero, maybe about a good year. And I'm saying a good year because you really want to understand each of these concepts. Just understanding Git alone takes a while because Git is such an intricate piece. Learning how to version control your artifacts and stuff like that, you definitely want to understand that. So it will take some time. I would say maybe between 6 months to a year from zero to hero. If you have already some concepts and you have a great understanding of the ones that I've listed out, then it shouldn't take you no more than 3 to 6 months.
Cool.
That's pretty much me just ballparking. right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's what I see visually.
Awesome.
So I think Git is actually really easy to learn for the basic things. Where it gets really hard is if you get really, really into the weeds.
Yeah.
You know, the vast majority of time, I would say that a lot of folks don't need to get really, really into the weeds.
Yeah.
Easy to learn, hard to master.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say, don't be like me. You can if you want to, but I am definitely one of those people who just kind of like jumped into DevOps at zero. Yeah. So
Yeah, but,
I would say
you're a study monster. I mean, you went from zero. I mean, you did it in like 3 to 6 months. You had an insane track record.
like
She's
one of
like
these
you're my
days,
study idol, by the way. Like whenever I'm studying, I'm like be more like Shala.
there's one of these days I will do a montage where I'll put together. There is actually a Kanye song where it's just like, you can't match my hustle. I deserve to put up these numbers. Yes, I am a study monster, as you say, but it. I would say it took like a good year and a half before I got comfortable as a DevOps engineer. The good part is those who know me from way back when, I definitely, went after CCNA and worked as a network engineer. That saved me so much startup time because I touched networking all the time in cloud day one all the way to now. So learn networking.
Yes. I second that notion. It's super important. And you can't really secure anything without knowing networking to begin with. So it's just like, it's foundational.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And that is one of those foundational pillars. Like we're all in the DevOps space, and Damien Burks came from it from the developer perspective, and I came from it from the systems administration networking perspective, and those pillars are like huge foundational pillars. People that come from dev usually have a really hard time. They struggle with the networking stuff. Cider blocks, what's that? I don't want a subnet. And then the people like me that came from CCNA land were like, functions? Looping? What is this nonsense? So it's really interesting. This list is bang on the money. Did you when you were going through this list, did you go through roadmap.sh, that other open source one?
Dude, I found out about Roadmap SH like this past weekend. I'm so serious.
Oh, wow.
I'm so serious. And I guess that made me feel like I was living under a rock because when I found it, I was like, this is money. Like, this is crazy. And it's
Yeah, it's super good. I was wondering if you're contributing to it because a lot your stuff, there actually isn't a slot in there for DevSecOps yet in Roadmap.sh.
I am going to embark on that journey and see if I can.
Yeah. There you go.
There we go.
I saw that someone threw that link into our vBrownBag kind of host chat the other day, but I didn't go there. And now that I'm sitting in front of my computer, this is amazing. Roadmap.sh. There's a lot of stuff here.
It's sick. Yep.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is very, very accurate from my experience. I mean, there's some things in there that I can't speak to, but I've done probably like half of those careers, and each one of them is like, yep, nope, yeah, that's exactly where you want to go. It's really accurate.
Oh yeah,
nice.
All right. With that, this is basically like the prerequisites list. And once you kind of get a foundational understanding of all these, then you can move into the blueprint. And this is where there's just some key concepts that I go over. But I added this in at the beginning of the year, which is introduction to soft skills, because like I said, 50% of my job is really just knowing how to talk to people. And as a DevSecOps engineer, the unspoken rule is that you're going to be working with a lot of cross-functional teams. You're probably going to be working a lot with developers. You're going to be working a lot with operations. You're going to be working a lot with the security team. So you're kind of like the glue for a lot of different things. And if you don't know how to effectively collaborate, you ain't gonna be able to get much done. So I decided to write this up and identify a list of those key soft skills and behaviors that you need to exhibit. And I have reached out to the community, and I got a list of books with links to Amazon that people should buy. 3 or 4 of these books I have, and I've read, and they've been really, really good, helpful me out of my career, How to Win Friends and Influence People, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, active listening techniques, which is really important. And then reading people is also very, very important. So in this particular thing, you start moving through the blueprint, you start touching on soft skills. And then from there, you start talking about the technical skills as far as like, okay, what is application security, right? What are some of the common application security vulnerabilities that you would see? Of course, OWASP Top 10 is something that I recommend everybody bookmark for AppSec, because you get to see what types of vulnerabilities show up every year. They usually update it based on like reports from various different organizations. So within 1 year, SQL injection might be the first thing. And then the next year, it could be cross-site scripting might be the first one. So it really just depends, and it constantly stays updated. And I made sure to include like references and links to that as well. Defining the difference between SAST and DAST. As a DevSecOps engineer, you will see SAST and DAST a lot. Static application security testing and dynamic application security testing. If you don't understand and necessarily know what those mean, I'm gonna just break it down to you like this. Static application security testing is code scanning and reviewing, and dynamic application security testing is basically like a fuzzer. When you run a SAS scan against your code, that's essentially detecting the vulnerabilities in your code and how you can make a SQL injection or how you can create a SQL injection attack in your code or allow people to use SQL injection for your web app. With dynamic application security testing, that basically is something that evaluates what it is that it evaluates and simulates a real world attack against your actual web application when it's deployed. So you can have it run in an environment, you have a DAS tool running, and it's just like, okay, target my web app. And the next thing you know, it's trying to hack your web app for you. And in certain cases, it's really accurate. And it'll print out a nice, pretty log for you, and you can go on about your little day and fix all your issues. So you'll see a lot of these different things, and I made sure to outline all of that, you know, when it's crucial to use them, what they're ideal for and what they're not ideal for. And this site in itself and this blueprint isn't always going to be complete because I'm adding stuff to it like every time I get a chance to. So there's a lot more in application security that you're going to end up having to explore. But the good news about it is that I always make sure I add in all kinds of tools and projects that you can use to explore what application security is, how to hack into a web application. Juice Shop is really, really popular. It's a gamified CTF or a CTF where you can deploy on your local machine and you can hack into things. I've done it in the past, and I've been able to really understand like how vital it is to securely code and to protect your applications at the development level. So there's so many different things I added in here. And then of course, additional resources, YouTube videos for you to understand what application security is in 8 minutes, SAST and DAST, and then various different articles from CrowdStrike, IBM, and so many other things. So each one of these pages is going to have that key, those tools, those projects, those articles, those YouTube videos, and so many different other resources to help you really get a holistic understanding of the concept. So I'm going to just quickly go through this one. And this is pretty much where the fun begins, because once you've gotten past these 2 or 3 articles and you've kind of gone through everything and you deploy some stuff and test it, then at this point, I basically say is like, you got to make sure you have a fundamental understanding of all of these concepts before you move forward. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, then you probably want to go back because you're going to be lost. Right. And then I dive into DevSecOps and what it means. So by this point in time, you've gone through all the prereqs, you've gone through intro to soft skills, defining what AppSec is, and you understand what the secure SDLC is. Now you can talk about DevSecOps, and you're probably going to have that little light bulb go off in your mind, like, boom, I understand now. And you'll be able to piece together the content and what that truly means. So I can say, according to Red Hat, DevSecOps stands for Development, Security, and Operations. But in my personal opinion and my experience, DevSecOps is not just you building pipelines and securing it and calling it a day. It's really a cultural movement, because what you have to understand about the culture of DevSecOps is that it's really ensuring that everyone understands that security is a shared responsibility across the organization. So all developers, all operation staff, we understand that we all have a part to play in securing our applications. We have a part to play in securing our entire infrastructure. And that is the key. And you can't understand and you can't be a cultural change agent and really understand how to get this to work unless you have those soft skills, unless you understand AppSec and the security SDLC and DevOps and all those prereqs. So I'm kind of coming back to full circle moment here because ultimately that's essentially what it is. The technical portion of it is very, very small in nature. So I describe how it's important, why DevSecOps is important. And the key thing is because it saves money. It starts by incorporating those security measures in early into the cycle, into the development life cycle, and enables us to increase those secure software releases and whatnot, without necessarily having to go back and fix things after it's been promoted to prod, right? So eliminates that overhead, minimizes it as much as possible. And these are all the core principles of DevSecOps, integration of security, automation, collaboration. Collaboration is huge. And that continuous feedback and monitoring, which is also a big part of collaboration. So as I said, 50% of the job is talking to people. Real talk.
If not more.
I might bump it up to like 80%.
You're right. Yeah. I mean, it really just depends on where you at, but you will have to talk to people. So that's a key thing. And all of these books at the very bottom, I'm a big fan and advocate of books. I mean, I have a bookshelf over here. Half of it's filled with manga, but the other half is filled with technical books. A lot of these books that I've recommended, I've read in some way, shape, form, or fashion, especially the Phoenix Project. If there is any book that I recommend you read for DevOps purposes, for just if you're in IT, read the Phoenix Project. Just read it. That is one of the most non-dry, juiciest, drama-filled books, but actually relates to everything that we do. That you really
Brent.
Everything. Yes. Very good.
Yeah. You will see probably at least one workplace that you had in your career in that book. Because it's like all of the dumpster fires in one place.
Yep. Exactly.
And if you haven't seen it yet, you will, or you're very lucky. One of the two.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Very lucky.
So Damien, this is fantastic. This is an amazingly rich resource for so many different things. I mean, yes, the security pieces are in there, but you've tied it all together very elegantly. There's a lot. I mean, the fact that you brought soft skills up as the very first thing is so huge, because most people are like, oh, no, you gotta SQL injections and learn this and do that, and like, no, you gotta be able to talk to people first. Yes. Did you put in the wrong password? No. Come on. Did you fess up? Up. Be honest. Okay, maybe I gave him my password. Thank you. Okay, now you can. This is absolutely fantastic. I deliberately did not look at this going into it because I wanted to make sure that I had all the questions fresh in my head so I could see what was going on. I am absolutely blown away with how much work that you've put into this.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I second that. Yeah, I've been sitting here looking at this other monitor, just scrolling through the website. There's so much stuff here, Damien. It's amazing.
Yes. I needed this 2 years ago.
I wish I was there to be able to give it to y'all, because I really wanted to, but it really just like hit me halfway through last year, and I was just like, I need to put this out today.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So that's what I did. Yeah, and it's more content coming.
Sorry, there's more what?
More content coming. There's way more content coming. Yeah.
How much time would you say you spent on this?
Yeah.
Oh man, I would say I will probably say a good 100 hours, 120 hours. It took me at least 2 to 3 weeks. to deliver it, flush everything out. I sat on it for about a month or two before I actually released it, because I just wanted to read through it, make sure it made sense. There was a lot of cases where like I had things out of order and I ended up shuffling it because I'm just like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense to me. If I was a newcomer and I was looking at this and I'm trying to figure out the blueprint, or I'm trying to figure out how to get into this, it's not as cohesive as I want it to be. Right. So I'm just like, let me organize this in a way where I'm breaking it down.
That is a ton of time. Please tell me those are all affiliate links, because you should be getting something, some form of remuneration for this.
Yeah, so some of these are affiliate links.
Okay.
Some of them, yeah, some of them are affiliate links, and then the others, because I've had people who are interested in contributing, they've added in links and stuff like that. So, it's a community-driven project. Literally had someone, I merged a PR right before this call to deploy some more changes. So
nice.
Yeah.
You should definitely make something off of this. This is a fantastic resource. We're definitely going to boost this out there.
And so I just joined your Discord. Is this the place where folks would need to go to ask or answer questions?
Yes, answer questions. If you complete one of these projects, because these are projects that I've done myself and could work with others with as well, and you get stuck, you come into the Discord, you create a issue or just chat and be like, hey, I'm running into this issue. I'm usually always online and I'll be like, what's up? And I'm right there providing assistance, as well as some of the other community managers. So we're here for y'all.
And do you want us to put the link for the Discord up? Yeah. Is that something that you want? Okay.
Yeah, I can just throw it into the chat.
Already got it. It's up.
Yeah. Sweet. Yeah, so if y'all end up going to the website and you want to join the Discord, you can always scroll to the very bottom and then you see the socials here. And you can just click on the Discord and then bam. Or if you're on a UI, you can come up here and click the Discord and you can accept it and then boom, you're in the Discord. But yeah.
Nice.
And as you said before, you are taking PRs for additional content on this? Excellent. Yep. All right.
I'm open to ideas and suggestions. If you have we did create a contributing guide, which I probably should go through that just in case.
Oh yeah.
And essentially, like any good repository should have.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So if you are trying to, well, of course, I always say, there's a code of conduct. Make sure you adhere to our code of conduct. Don't be disrespectful. Don't be a jerk. Like, yeah, make sure you do everything.
Not Burks, Carlson.
Make sure you be very respectful, right? And then from there, it comes down, we talk about like just different things. So if you have suggestions on like new projects, the projects that I have here, I can just touch on real briefly. One is a DevSecOps home lab. I literally set it up. This one is basically me showing you how to set up a home lab for less than $300, or at least $300 that I spent. And I basically go through and show you my little old ranky-danky home lab that works. And show you what it means to build a home lab and stuff like that. And I actually break everything down and show you how to install everything. So this right here took me at least 2 weeks to write it all out. But if you have any new ideas for new projects and stuff like that you want to contribute to and stuff like that, come into the Discord channel and then just drop them in the suggestions channel. And what we can do is we can start to, prioritize those things and work together to create it ultimately. If you have any improvements to existing content or anything like that, you find typos, feel free to raise a PR, let me know. I wrote it, so it's not going to be perfect. I've spotted a couple of typos while I was on this call. So I was like, I got to fix that.
Don't you hate it when you're presenting and you're like, oh, wait a minute. I spelled restaurant wrong again.
I was like, I remember coding on the Mac and I was like, oh yeah, no, that's a char set issue. It's not rendering right. Wonderful. So yeah, things happen, right? Weird things happen. If you see something, say something or raise a PR to fix it. Have no problem.
Awesome.
And yeah, that is in a nutshell, the DevSec Blueprint. Go ahead.
There's a quick question here in the chat, and I just wanted to say for the sake of anyone else who might be joining or skip the part when they're listening to it later, this is at DevSecBlueprint.com. So that's dev as in development, sec as in security, blueprint.com. So
Yep.
I hope that helps, Austin.
Yeah, most definitely. And I want to mention two things. If you're interested, I decided to create these two documents. And they're theoretical ways on how you can build out pipelines. One is geared towards applications like web apps and stuff like that. And the other one is geared towards cloud.
You use Terraform? Oh, I'm so happy.
I do. And I love it. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Okay. I used to be a diehard AWS CDK fan, and I still am. Don't get me wrong. I still am.
Yeah. But
Terraform Cloud, the bee's knees. It's the bee's knees. I got to give it to y'all. So I basically.
To be fair, I did not pay Damien to say that. I just want to say that out loud. This was not a paid endorsement. This is straight from the heart.
Yeah.
No. There is one project that I did that I basically went through and used Terraform Cloud for, and that's building out the DevSec pipeline in AWS with all the code, and basically went through and showed everybody everything. So Terraform Cloud, if you don't know Terraform, learn Terraform. And if you want to effectively use it for free, Terraform Cloud.
I got to get you some swag now, Damien. All right. You got me.
You can't go wrong. But yeah, each one of these, in theory, pages is basically showing you what each pipeline stage should look like and how you can integrate security scanning and stuff like that. I added in sneak commands in here, but when it comes down to actually what security tools you can embed, I created a security tools to integrate to your CI/CD pipeline section in each one of these pages, and just listed out all the tools and all the different types that you can integrate. And guess what? All the tools that I listed here, for the most part, are free and open source.
Yep.
So what I mean by that is, like, I try to include open source projects and prioritize them into this. So everything that you see in here, for the most part, is free. You can download it, use it, learn it. It's worth it.
Do you recommend an IDE on this blueprint?
So if you are coding by any means, I recommend VS Code.
You're damn right. That's the right answer. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. I recommend
aggressively opinionated here.
I stand VS Code.
Down.
As people said years ago.
So listen. I used to dislike VS Code maybe like 3.5, almost 4 years ago. I shit you not. Excuse my language. And the thing is, I'm sorry. And the thing is, like, I used to be an Eclipse, PyCharm, IntelliJ type of person.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So coming from that, where it's just like I can configure whatever I want, to like having a list of extensions that you can like download and having as much flexibility as possible, it was a culture shock.
Oh yeah.
And now I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is an open source product as well.
Yep.
It's on GitHub. It's amazing. There is a question that a certain person named Roger keeps sending us messages on the side, begging us to ask. Do you have any plans to add AI content to this?
So this is something that's been that I've been fighting with myself with over the past week, because I noticed that like AI is picking up, and well, it's already popular. It's just picking up and like more popular, being very aggressive, right? So I would say like I do. And the AI content that I plan to include into this is basically how to effectively use it to solve your problems. Since they decided to drop Copilot for free, it's been very nice. And I will definitely be adding that as well. But if I had to say, can you use AI for this? Absolutely. And I think that you should. It's free. It's available. You should use AI to help you build out pipelines. You should use AI to help you secure your infrastructure and your environment. It's free.
Yep.
Use it.
Yep. Yeah, GitHub Copilot being free is pretty fantastic, and it integrates so well into VS Code.
Dude, I tested it last week. I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah, it was great.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Roger's pulling Emacs out. Come on, really? Him and Sean Doyle, between those two.
I know.
Yeah.
All right. So we're getting a little bit over time. So, Mr. Burks, this is a fantastic resource. Thank you very much for coming on and showing it to us. And with that, everyone, have a wonderful evening, and we will talk to you again next week.
Thanks, Al.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.